Hi, I'm Irving. As you know by now, while ABC's Batman was becoming a legend in its own time, CBS and NBC were scrambling to get a market share of the campy superhero ratings. Unfortunately, they both came up with short-lived failures that we're looking at in this series called the Dumbbell Derby. Because most of the time, it really did seem like a race to see who could be worst and who could get canceled first. As our story opens, Reed and Trent are waiting outside the stage door of an opera house where Russia's prima ballerina has just finished a performance of Tchaikovsky's Swan Lake. From there, she's supposed to slip out the door and defect to the west, which is where they come in. Unfortunately, somebody must have gotten wind of it because she doesn't get the chance.
Remain for an encore. It will be most disappointing for your American friends. Shall we go?
Now Reed has a big problem because they've spirited her away to a ship not too far offshore. Reed says it's time for drastic action.
Oh, no, not him. Oh, please, BJ. Order a naval blockade or commit piracy on the high seas, but don't send Mr. Terrific.
The show's named for him. What did you think Reed meant?
Worry not. By taking one pill, he becomes the strongest man on Earth, able to soar through the air under his own power. I can see him now. Muscles tensed, mind alert, eager to fly into action, with all the skill and courage of 100 men.
Cue the gag. 3, 2, 1, go.
No, it's no trouble at all, miss. I'll find you a short circuit, and I'll have it fixed quicker than you can say Jack Robinson.
Reed calls Stanley and says, "You need to get over here right away. I've sent a power pill by special messenger."
Hello. I beg your pardon.
Oh, not you, Mr. Reed. I was talking to the carrier pigeon on my shoulder. Carrier pigeon? Just a second.
That didn't take him as long to figure out as it usually does. Maybe he really is improving.
Carrier pigeon, come on. Up. Let's go. Come on. Let's see what you have for me. Let's see what you have for me. That's good. Oh. The pill just came, Mr. Reed. I'll see you in a few seconds.
They do get creative in the way they get Stanley's pills to him. Why they don't just give him a supply that he can keep in his closet or something, I will never know. Here's a really good example of wasting valuable airtime that could be put to better use. Instead of watching Stanley change clothes, why not cut to someone else and do some actual character development? All we're doing here is filling time with something to pad out the episode and make it the required length. We aren't accomplishing anything. From this scene, we'll cut to Reed and Trent wondering what's taking Stanley so long. But if we had done that at the beginning of this clothes-changing scene, we could have had some meaningful dialogue. Maybe Reed revealing that he sometimes does have misgivings about Stanley, or Trent admitting that deep down he's a little envious of what Stanley gets to do, something to show us these are real people. Instead, we watch Stanley change, play with a pigeon, and fly. So many missed opportunities. It makes me sad. Stanley smashes through a window as usual and gets his mission. Fly out to the freighter, pick up Ms. Deshinova, and fly her back. It's that simple, and they give him a photo of her to make sure he grabs the right ballerina. Nothing can go wrong this time. And I'm going to show us some of the meaningless footage of Stanley flying because I want you to pay special attention to the music. We've mixed some themes from Tchaikovsky's Romeo and Juliet into the Mr. Terrific theme. That's some clever composing. I haven't mentioned it, but I have no issues at all with the music in either of these shows. Often it turns out to be the best part of an episode, like now. Out at the freighter, he verifies his objective. He has her spotted and now knows exactly what she looks like. Again, nothing can go wrong this time. He makes his way inside. All those ballet folks on board, including a prima ballerina that they're pretty sure wants to defect to the west, and there's no guards anywhere, he can just waltz into the place and wander around.
I am not in the mood to do a ballet bar. I'm still very tired from last night.
Okay, I see what his plan is. How can it fall to pieces?
No, 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 no. The world's prima ballerina is supposed to be as graceful as a swan, not as awkward as a duck. Tanya, it seems that the Shinova is a little indisposed. While she retires to her cabin, you will dance the part of the Harlequin.
Like that. Stanley's gonna grab the wrong ballerina, isn't he? Requisite joke number 1 complete. For joke number 2, he has to pose as a dancer.
Magnificent. Never have I seen such turns.
Joke number 2 complete. That takes us into number 3.
Your new dancer rather unusual. When he had joined the troupe?
You are joking, Yuri. Surely you recognize one of your own men from the secret police.
They suddenly realize he's not with anybody just as he throws the ballerina down the hall and flies after her. He hasn't noticed that her hair is a different color from the woman he saw through the window. Over her screams of protest, he flies her back to his apartment where Reed and Trent are waiting.
Gentlemen, allow me to present the one and only prima ballerina of the world, the Shinova.
Oh, can't be. Stanley, what have you done? That's not the Shinova.
She isn't?
Compare her to the picture in your pocket, Stanley. Or better yet, ask her who she is.
I am Tanya, her understudy, and I demand to know the meaning of this outrage. Who are you? Why have you brought me here? And what kind of man is this who flies?
On the other hand, just take her back before she asks too many uncomfortable questions. Too late. Just then, Hal shows up. Stanley has to stuff everyone into the closet.
Oh, well, better luck next time. Oh, listen, while you're here, take over for me at the station, will you? I have to take my suit out to be pressed.
Sure thing, Hal. Your suit, no!
Requisite joke number 4 in progress. Stanley is acting like an idiot to keep Hal out of the closet and get rid of him.
What was that?
Nothing, I didn't hear anybody in the closet.
Oh, so that's it. You sly dog. You got a girl in there, huh?
A girl? Oh, why should I have a girl in the closet? No, believe me, Hal, that's not true.
Okay, Stan. Listen, anything you say, right? There's no girl in the closet. I never asked. There couldn't possibly be anyone in that closet. I never heard a noise, all right? I'll see you at 8 o'clock. You too, sweetheart.
Mission accomplished, joke number 4 complete, and Hal gotten rid of. They offer to return Tanya, and she says, no thanks, I think I'll defect too. Stanley takes his first booster pill and flies back to the freighter to get to Shinova. He contacts her just as his power goes off.
This pill, are you ready to go?
Yes, but where is your seaplane?
No, we don't need a seaplane as long as I have this pill. Oh. Oh, no!
This is why you swallow the pill, then talk. And of course it landed perfectly centered on that cookie, so it's going to be a headache trying to find it. My mistake. It's going to be a stomach ache trying to find it. After the second tray disappears, the chef figures out what's going on. The next time he reached up for a tray, let's put it this way. From that day on, he was known as 8-Finger Stan.
What do you do now?
Isn't it funny how non-pill Stanley suddenly has the strength to flip that table when he couldn't operate a jack in the previous episode? I guess adrenaline is a wonderful thing. The Russians corner them and prepare to drop Stanley to the bottom of the Atlantic.
Excuse me, but isn't it customary to grant the condemned man one last request?
Last drink of vodka?
How about one last cookie?
Gluttonous pig, there is only one left.
Isn't that an amazing turn of events? He beats on the expendable stuntmen, throwing 2 of them overboard into the ocean where they'll likely freeze to death before anybody can pick them up. Then he grabs Deshinova and flies off with her. In a manner that's not suggestive at all. In the epilogue, Hal and his latest conquest are waiting for Stanley so they can go on a double date, assuming Stanley has found himself a girl.
Hi, Hal. Oh, hi. Hi.
Boy, Stanley, it's about time you showed up.
Well, I'm sorry I'm late, Hal, but it took longer to get dressed than I figured. You can come in now. I hope you don't mind, Hal. I brought along a spare, just in case you had trouble getting a date.
Oh, yeah.
We actually went someplace we haven't been before. Stanley gets the last laugh about women, and Hal is left speechless. Give me more of that sort of thing. Hal should see his friend in a very different light from now on. Let's run with this. Give Hal a touch of insecurity. Give Stanley a touch of security, confidence, whatever. Let's keep this going. There's just one more thing I have to address. I knew I recognized Deshinova from somewhere else. I was right. Her name is Cynthia Lynn, and she's better known as Helga, Colonel Klink's secretary who loves to make out with Colonel Hogan on Hogan's Heroes. And she's as lovely as ever. All right, with that out of the way, let's flip over to Captain Nice and see what's happening in Big Town. I'm guessing Carter and his mother are watching some kind of movie about the St. Valentine's Day massacre. Or maybe it's a bad remake of the Green Hornet. It's hard to say at this point. If it is the Green Hornet, he's forgotten how to put that thing together.
Your mob has been muscling in on our syndicate. Now you're going to get bumped off as a warning.
No, this is happening in real time. We have a genuine gang war happening right before our eyes. Their boss, Mr. X, had the guy with the machine gun flown into town especially to kill these guys.
When do I meet this mysterious Mr. X?
You don't. None of us have ever met him. Only her. She's his girlfriend.
Do you and Mr. X go steady? Why? Well, I thought maybe we could take in a movie after the massacre.
Hitting on the boss's girlfriend tends to have serious repercussions. You might want to retract that while you still can.
Darn it.
What happened?
I missed.
Family show, remember? Can't have any real blood. Outside the garage, Carter Nash happened to pull up looking for service for his car. He saw what was going on and is taking his formula even as we speak. He runs in and confronts the men with guns.
It's Captain Nice. Quick, the fainting gang.
Okay.
Let you stupid her.
Begin the noble idiot gag in 3, 2, 1.
Not so fast. You've been apprehended.
I'm fainting.
There. You'll be all right now.
You're not going anywhere.
I'm fainting again.
They get away while she's fainting yet again. Carter, the eternal nice guy, never catches on that the two are related. Since this is the recycled gags show, Mayor Uncle Fred has been giving dictation to his ditzy but hot secretary.
Good morning, Chief Siegel.
Good morning, Miss Schneider.
Any fires today?
I'm with the police department, Miss Schneider.
Oh, congratulations.
I admit it, I did not see that one coming. It did make me laugh. The chief is there to report that those 4 gangsters Captain Nice saved won't talk. The mayor says, what about Amanda Wolf? She's in custody for accessory to attempted murder. Won't she identify Mr. X?
I don't know. Don't tell me she won't testify before my crime commission.
She won't testify.
I asked you not to tell me that.
The last episode was so nice without that joke. Carter and Sergeant Kane are scouring the garage where the attempted massacre took place, looking for some clue to Mr. X's identity.
Carter?
Yes?
Do you carry around a little black book like all the other fellas do?
No.
Good. Then I think we found a clue.
This must have been dropped by one of the syndicate members. Nixlip Quack Glibble. Sounds like an anagram of some kind.
Nixlip Quack Glibble.
Do you know what it means?
I don't even know what anagram means.
In the prologue, we saw Amanda writing in a little book in code that only she and Mr. X can read. Looks like she dropped it during one of her fainting spells. They take it to Mayor Uncle Fred's office and insist they have to see him.
I can't tell him you're here.
Why not?
Because I don't know which button to push.
We have to tell him that we had information about the syndicate and Mr. X. It's all in this little black book we found.
Oh, my.
Carter, notice Amanda's sitting right there? Maybe gabbling on about it in front of her isn't the best idea. But it gets worse. He tells them he'll take it home tonight and work on it there. I'm sure Amanda wasn't listening.
Mayor Finney, I've decided to testify for you against the syndicate.
You will? You'll tell everything?
Yes, but only under oath and in front of the crime committee.
This is a Fred Finney day.
In the meantime, you'll have to put me in protective custody.
They need someplace safe, so of course the mayor and the chief both say, "How about my house?" Carter tries to be the voice of reason and suggests the jail, but in the end, Amanda decides where she'll go, Carter's house. Now, we know she's Mr. X's girlfriend, the only person who knows who he is. Carter has just found a coded book that he's sure will reveal the identity of Mr. X. She wants protective custody at his house, where the book is. Nobody puts this together. Uncle Fred and the chief are too busy drooling, Carter is too busy wondering how he's going to explain this to his mother, and Candy is too busy being jealous. Big Town's finest.
Hey, Bugsy, get all the boys together. Amanda Wolf's turned stoolie. She's going to testify against the syndicate.
You're crazy. It's just an expression.
They're holding Amanda somewhere under protective custody. I want her found and killed.
He was in Mayor Uncle Fred's office getting interrogated when all this went down. He doesn't know Amanda's game, so he came to the logical conclusion. Amanda goes to get settled in at Carter's house.
Here we are.
What a dump.
It's home.
It's just an overnight stay, otherwise she would have brought the big stuff.
Mother, I'd like you to meet Miss Amanda Wolf. She's, well, she's an old college classmate of mine.
What did she major in? Luggage?
She majored in getting other people to carry it. Sergeant Kane managed to get assigned to her protection, so she's also protecting Carter from Amanda. Amanda gets into conversation with Mother and mentions that she's A, interested in Carter, and B, very rich. They need to get rid of Sergeant Kane so Amanda can put the moves on Carter.
And the lights down nice and low. Not too low. Mr. Nash likes to read. Do you think you could arrange to get Sergeant Kane out of the house for a little while?
Well, of course I can. Mayor Finney's my brother. I'll call him right away.
Well, that'll be very helpful.
Certainly. She shouldn't be here. You and Carter should be alone. 4's a crowd.
You mean 3's a crowd?
4. I'll be here.
According to what you just said, so will Mr. Nash. So I guess you mean 5 is a crowd. Or did Sheldon come back and that makes it 6? And then there could be no...
Now, why didn't I notice this before?
What?
This looks exactly like the code I worked on in the Silverman case 4 years ago.
Oh, Carter, that's wonderful.
I remember something else, too.
Yes?
I didn't break that code either.
Candy gets a call telling her to come relieve the desk sergeant. As quick as she's gone, Mother and Amanda go to work, though not toward the same purpose. Carter isn't having it at the moment because he's finally cracked the code. He's about to decipher who Mr. X is. Unfortunately, the bad guys kidnapped Chief Ziegler and squeezed Amanda's location out of him.
All right, tie him up and gag him.
Oh, Brian, let me explain.
Her first.
Carter is blissfully unaware in his study.
Don't pull it so tight. You'll never make a decent knot that way. Loosen it a little. Didn't anyone ever teach you how to tie a gag?
If you'll just keep your mouth shut for a second, lady, I could do it.
The star of the show. And by the way, she's right.
How's that?
Very comfortable, thank you.
Tie her hands, stupid.
Be careful of my drapes.
The noise gets Carter's attention. I have to wonder if Home Improvement thought they were doing something new by never showing Wilson's face. Guess what? It wasn't new.
Hold it. It's Captain Nice.
Don't waste your ammunition. Bullets bounce right off of me.
All right, Cadet. Let him have it. Watch out for the ricochet.
Sometimes I think I'm my own worst enemy.
The first time in the whole episode he actually hit what he was aiming at, and that's the result. So we got to see some gangsters mowed down after all. Or more precisely, mow themselves down. In any case, bullets 3, gangsters 0. In the epilogue, Amanda has decided not to testify after all.
You can't do that. The television hearing has been all set up. I even bought a new blue shirt.
Sorry.
Chief, do something. If she doesn't testify, that hearing will be pointless. And I'll look like a total failure.
That's showbiz. One day you're on top, the next.
Mayor Uncle Fred has been pushing this televised hearing throughout the episode because if it gets high ratings, it'll make him feel popular or something like that. But Carter saves the day.
He did it, Fred. He did it.
Did what?
I've decoded the whole book.
You mean you know who Mr. X is?
Yeah, he's Floyd the janitor. Who knew?
There is no Mr. X.
No, Mr. X.
It's Miss X, Amanda Wolf herself.
What?
That's why no one saw Mr. X except her.
That's right. Now you know. I am the head of a syndicate.
This episode was fairly complex and wove a nice story that came together in the end. Most of the jokes were pretty good, despite Mayor Uncle Fred having to do his signature line. We got a pretty good insight into what matters to him, and he's just as sleazy as we thought he was. But he's becoming a three-dimensional sleaze. The trouble is, it's taken us 10 episodes to get him to this point, and we still have a long way to go. By this time, most viewers had given up on the show thanks to recycled gags and thin plots. Things started improving, but way too late. The show was doomed. They knew it, but they kept going for as long as they could. I can admire them for that. Until next time.